Hello and welcome everyone who is joining our webinar today. We are going to start in a couple of minutes as we wait for all participants who registered to enter the webinar. So today we're hosting our Graduate School of Health Sciences. We're going to be talking about admissions for the fall 2021 period to their Master and PhD programs at Koç University. My name is Melissa Abache. I'm the Director of International Student Recruitment here at Koç University. You can see our website on the screen. It's international.ku.edu.tr. And I will be also joined by my colleagues from the Graduate School of Health Sciences, Ms. Ece Aydoğan, who is here on camera now, and Ms. Simay Altunsoy, who will be answering all of your questions at the end of the presentation. So the idea for today is that we're going to give a brief overview about Koç University, especially for those of you who may be new, who you may not have heard that much about our university. Some of you have and have done a lot of research. Perhaps some of you have already started applications. So the idea is that we will be able to cover content for both groups. So we will do a brief introduction. We will talk about the Graduate School of Health Sciences, the specific Master and PhD programs that are on offer. We will talk a little bit about the facilities and infrastructure and support that it's available for graduate students. We will talk about our student body and alumni that have graduated from the programs. Then we will get to explain how to apply, what are the required documents and information, deadlines, and how to submit your applications. We have some updates about the fall 2021 semester in light of the global COVID-19 pandemic. We will provide information about our tuition, financial aids and benefits, and then have questions and answers, as I said, with our Graduate School of Health Sciences coordinators. So to get started, Koç University was set up in 1993 in Istanbul, Turkey, to become a center of excellence that would provide world-class education and would create new knowledge for the benefit of society. So from the start, it has offered all of its academic programs in English. This is something that it's important to know about our university. And the idea was that it would become a beacon of research, of world-class research and education in the country and in the whole region. We are a small university in the sense of having 7,000 students. This is within the context of Turkey. It's still a small university. And those students are taught by a faculty body of about 521 full-time faculty members. These faculty members are really the secret to the success of Koç University, being a young university, that it has achieved so much in so little time. Most of them, 95% of them, have obtained their PhD degrees from the top universities around the world, especially from the United States, UK, and other European countries. You will see that once you start to explore the different faculty members who are teaching in our Graduate School of Health Sciences programs, and also from the best universities in Turkey, of course. We are a research-intensive university, so this is why in the past 10 years, we have put a lot of effort to grow the number of master and especially PhD programs on offer at the university. This includes, of course, the Graduate School of Health Sciences. And this is why we have also invested a lot of resources in providing research laboratories, which we now have over 220 research laboratories, as well as research centers at the university. All graduate studies at the university are offered through 4 graduate schools. Today, we're talking about the Graduate School of Health Sciences, but you can, of course, find more information about the other graduate programs offered in sciences and engineering, social sciences, humanities, and business in our website. Research, as you will see, it's a recurring topic in today's presentation. These are some indicators of how important it is for our university, and this also applies to you as a prospective or as a future graduate student in our Graduate School of Health Sciences. So Koç University is now the top recipient of national research awards in Turkey. It has over 800 externally funded projects, and this is how many of our faculty members are able to hire PhD, postdocs, and also master students to work in their groups because of the amount of externally funded projects, either from industry, from international organizations, or from the Turkish government. We're also the highest recipient of European Research Council grants in Turkey amongst all Turkish universities. These are extremely competitive grants that are given to individual researchers all across Europe. So it's very difficult to obtain them, and we already have the highest number here in Turkey. But also the highest ranking in Turkey in terms of the number of papers published and the impact in some specific areas that I will show next when it comes to the impact of that research in their respective field. And one thing that Koç University is very well known for is the strong relations that we have with industry. This also applies to health sciences. But from the beginning, the university has been able to establish collaboration and applied research projects and specific research centers in collaboration with different industries in Turkey and outside of Turkey. So as I was mentioning, there are some specific disciplines in which we already have impact that it's comparable to world-class and much more older and bigger and more even well-funded universities around the world. The ones that you see in red on the screen are related to health sciences. So these are, for example, in molecular medicine, molecular biology and genetics, nanomedicine, as well as cognitive psychology, and especially neuroscience. It's one of our strongest research clusters in the university, and you will see this very easily once you see the neuroscience faculty members and the research that they're doing. So all of this, when you look at the combined effect of it, it's reflected in different ways. One of those ways, it's rankings. In that sense, Koç University is continually ranked among the top 3, or usually the first university in Turkey in rankings such as Times Higher Education, QS, and other specialized rankings. There are also more relevant accreditations or memberships that, if you're thinking about becoming a graduate student in health sciences, will be of relevance to you. One of these is Orpheus. This is a network of universities that are committed to developing and disseminating best practice when it comes to PhD training programs. So PhDs are, of course, difficult, very worthwhile, but very difficult journeys for most students. So it's important that universities examine their practices and try to learn from each other. So Koç University is now a member of this network, and it's in the process of acquiring the accreditation as an Orpheus graduate school. And it will host a national conference in 2022, once we're all able to kind of travel back and forth between our different countries. So this is within Europe, another network that we're a part of. In terms of support that graduate students receive at our Graduate School of Health Sciences, this is very varied and wide. One of the ways in which you're supported is right after you are accepted, you have access to the student handbook, or actually you can see this on the Graduate School of Health Sciences website, where you can find all the information you will need in your first few months as a graduate student about how you get started in terms of orientation, practical things about how to get your ID card, residence permits, health insurance, as well as who are the key people and offices that you will be in regular contact as you start to take your courses and start to establish your research topics or work in a laboratory. Another important part of life as a graduate student in our Graduate School of Health Sciences and at Koç University is that when you become a master's student or a PhD student especially, you're expected to comply with the 10 hours of TA, teaching assistantship. But we don't expect you to know how to be a good TA from the start, regardless of the background or the experience you may have. This is why we partner with our Office of Learning and Teaching, called COLT, and they have developed specific workshops and courses which can be taken as electives that help you improve your teaching practices, especially, for example, about handling intercultural concepts in the classroom, using learning management systems, micro-teaching for example, laboratories, and how to do grading. So you won't be left alone to kind of learn all of this by yourself, but you will receive professional training on how to be a good teaching assistant and a good teacher. This is especially important if you're thinking that your career goals in the future after you complete a master or a PhD is to continue in academia and become a professor, a faculty member that will be teaching others. Now, another part of the experience of being a graduate student in our Graduate School of Health Sciences is actually enjoying our full residential campus experience. So you will take some courses in our main campus that we call the Rumeli Phonetic Campus because of its location. This is in the northwest part of Istanbul, in the European side. You may or may not know, Istanbul has two sides, Europe and Asia, so we're located on the European side. This is an aerial view of our main campus where you can see the academic buildings at the back, you can see some of the undergraduate dormitories, our health center on the front. But basically you have all services you need within campus. Then also you will spend a lot of time in our health campus at the Koç University Hospital located in Topkapi. This is a more, let's say, central area of Istanbul. And this is where we have several of our laboratories. So they're distributed between the two campuses, as well as all the clinical research areas of a normal teaching and research university hospital. This hospital, by the way, was opened in 2014, and it's, everything is top of its class, cutting edge infrastructure and facilities that are available there. Another part of the experience, though, is of course the people that you're going to be sharing your courses, not only the teachers, but the students. So in that sense, we can say that we are, very selective when it comes to admissions to make sure that you're surrounded by intellectually engaging students who are well-rounded. You're able to combine and manage your time effectively to do well academically in your courses and thrive as a researcher, but also to enjoy life in our campus with your classmates and of course as being in Istanbul and all the things that it offers. There are also some very brief information that I want to give about our library, which you can also find on our website. As a graduate student, you will need to learn a lot of things about how to use your library resources, especially databases, electronic collections, journals, and our library provides extensive training for graduate students at the beginning of each academic year and throughout the year, so that you have support in that regard. And as I said, it's all about being able to manage or balance your academic and non-academic activities during your studies. So we have a very active and social campus life where we have a cultural center that organizes indoor and outdoor activities. These are concerts, dance recitals, performances from well-known Turkish and international groups. So there's always something happening on campus to take a break from the hard research at the lab. So that's something to keep in mind. Now to talk about to give a bit more detail about our Graduate School of Health Sciences. It's actually our newest graduate school at Koç University. It was established in 2011. And the idea is that it would act as an integration platform where students and faculty can meet together and develop novel or innovative ideas in terms of health sciences. And this is, and understood as a very interdisciplinary field. So since 2011, the graduate school has opened and established 26 graduate research programs, which are all taught in English with the exception of nursing. So we do have a Ph.D. in nursing, which is only taught in English, but all the other programs are taught in Turkish, but all the other programs are taught in English. These courses are taught by 70 internationally recognized faculty members. Some of them, or most of them, are affiliated to our School of Medicine, but we also have faculty members who are coming from our College of Engineering, from our College of Sciences, from our College of Administrative Science or Social Sciences. So this is what I mean by a very interdisciplinary approach to health sciences. There are now approximately, over 200 students, and it's an international or diverse student body. About 10% of our students are international, and we will give a few more details about that in just a few slides. And of course, it's important as a graduate student that you have access to the latest or the best and appropriate technology and resources to do your research. So we have 10 cutting-edge technology laboratories. We will show the list also a bit later. You will be hosted in our Koç University Hospital, as well as our main campus. And one thing that we will talk about in more length is also that we now are the host of the largest translational medicine research center in Turkey and perhaps also the region. So that provides a specific advantage for graduate students who want to pursue their master or PhD programs here. Here you can see what are the specific programs, masters and PhD that are offered in the Graduate School of Health Sciences. As you can see, there are some disciplines in which we offer both master, thesis and non-thesis and PhD programs. And I'll explain what we mean by thesis and non-thesis masters. So for example, neuroscience, immunology, molecular biology and genetics, biomedical sciences and engineering are areas or disciplines in which we offer both a master's and a PhD program. The important thing to remember here is that you can apply, for example, for a PhD program after you have completed a bachelor's program. You don't need to have completed a master's program in order to apply to our PhDs. This is what we call a direct PhD admission. It means it's a bit longer. You need to take some extra courses, but it is a very attractive option that we provide to students that know that they want to continue into a PhD degree and later on into research and academia. We have introduced some new programs for the fall 2021 admission, which are global health and the masters in immunology. And I will talk in more detail about those because those have been designed to fill or to gap the needs of professionals in health sciences that want to advance their careers by having a master program in this area. Some of the programs that you see with asterisk, one asterisk, it means that they're offered in collaboration with our Graduate School of Sciences and Engineering. So here you would have faculty members who are supervising master or PhD students who are also coming from our College of Engineering, for example, in mechanical engineering, in chemical and biological engineering, or from our College of Sciences. And we have also introduced some new PhD programs this year in the area of medical microbiology, which was only offered before as a master's program. Now we also have a PhD program. So to explain how our master and PhD programs work, the structure is very similar to what you would expect from graduate programs in the United States. So we have PhD programs that have a duration of 4 years, in which you take a minimum of seven courses if you have already graduated from a master's degree, or 14, that's why it said it would be longer, if you have completed a bachelor's degree. Then after you have completed your courses, you take a PhD qualifying exam. And if you're successful in passing that exam, then you're a PhD candidate in which you're devoting all of your time as a full-time researcher to writing a doctoral dissertation, a research thesis under the supervision of one of our faculty members. Then we have the Master with Thesis programs, which are 2 years in duration, in which you take a minimum of 7 courses. And at the end, you also, or during the second year of the program, you are also working full-time to write a master's thesis, again, with the supervision of one of our faculty members. Then we have the Masters without Thesis. This is what in the UK you would call taught masters or professional masters, which have a duration of 1 year. So it's 3 more courses. You take at least 10 courses, and you have to present a graduation project in which you do have some supervision from faculty members. But of course, it's less rigorous in terms of length and what you're supposed to do as a graduation project. You can find more details, of course, about the structure of each of the programs on our website. Here you can see some details about what are the non-credit required courses, regardless of which master program with thesis that you're taking. So as I was mentioning before, you do have to take some courses to help you become a better teacher, at teaching. So that's why we have teaching experience. Then we have some required courses for all Graduate School of Health Sciences students, such as bioethics and biostatistics. And of course, because the programs are taught in English, you also need to take academic writing to improve, because you will be basically doing research that leads to publication in specific journals or conferences. So you need to improve or polish your English academic writing. And we provide a course to help you do that. So here you can see some of the requirements for the Master with Thesis programs, okay? Other things that we can, mention here, there is a minimum GPA requirement in order to graduate. All of our programs at Koç University are graded on a scale of 4. So our minimum GPA, grade point average to graduate, it's 3 out of 4. For the PhD programs, similarly, you have non-credit required courses that you have to take. But also, of course, then, it's longer. The PhD qualifying exam is a big milestone of the PhD journey. And again, you do have some minimum requirements that you have to meet. So I mentioned we have some new professional master programs for those of you who may not be considering a long-term career in academia or necessarily into research, but you want to, for example, be working in industry, whether that's, non-governmental organizations, public organizations, or private organizations, and having a master's degree with a specialization, for example, in immunology or global health, would help you advance your career prospects. So these are programs that, again, we're offering them in English. You can join for the fall 2021 admission period. And we also offer admission into the spring semester in Turkey starts usually in February. So if you're not able to start this September, where, because of work commitments or because of the country you're located in, there may still be some travel restrictions, you can think about applying and being admitted for the spring 2022 semester. There are some specific things I just want to mention very briefly about why we think our professional master programs are a good alternative especially for international students. First of all, of course, is reputation. Koç University is now the gold standard of graduate education in Turkey. Anyone that you ask to recommend good universities in Turkey will always include Koç University. So it's well known, and you won't have any problem in terms of having your degree recognized by the key or biggest and most important employers in health sciences or related organizations in Turkey. But we also offer a very strong career network in partner institutions in industry. This is through our Career Development Center and our alumni network. The other key aspect is flexibility. I mean, these are 1-year programs, so you don't have to take a big break from your current position at work. If you get permission, for example, from your employer for a 1-year sabbatical type leave, then that works pretty well in terms of your longer term career plans. And if you're not able to take that kind of leave and come to Istanbul, you can also follow all of the courses online. So this is an option that we are offering a lot of flexibility. The last one is, of course, affordability. When you compare our master's degree, let's say in global health, with very similar ones in the United States, UK, some countries in Europe, then we have a very competitive tuition, which is $9,800. And the key thing is that Turkey, and especially Istanbul, offers lower living costs than most European capital cities, and of course the US, when it comes to things like rental accommodation, transportation, and health insurance and other aspects. And we do offer a much more simpler visa and student residence procedure than most traditional study destinations. So I want to talk now about the student body, who would be the classmates that you would likely have. So as you can see, I said, we have now over 200 graduate students in the graduate school. Most of them are PhD students, so 133 are now PhD students. 10% are international. And you can see the biggest programs for us in terms of the number of students are our Cellular and Molecular Medicine PhD program, our Neuroscience PhD program, our Masters in Nursing as well. So these are the biggest programs. In terms of our alumni, as we saw, this is our newest graduate school. So some of our first PhD students have just graduated from their degrees. So in that sense, our alumni body is not as big as other graduate schools in the university, but they have managed to secure very good positions either as PhD students or postdoctoral students or assistant faculty member positions at top universities in Europe or in the US, as you can see on the map. And if you want to see a bit more detail about what type of research they did when they were here, you can find the titles of their theses, either their PhD or Master Thesis on the Graduate School of Health Sciences website. We just took here a quick, screenshot of one of the programs. CAM refers to Cellular and Molecular Medicine. And you can see all of that information on our website and who were their supervisors, who were their faculty members who supervise their work, because that can also give you an idea based on the research topics you're interested in, who could be a potential supervisor for you at the university, at the graduate school. Here you can see a list of the laboratories. This is not an extensive list. There are more laboratories, but these are some of the key ones that you may want to know that we offer at Koç University. I won't be able to go into the technical detail of what each laboratory has in terms of equipment. I do apologize. I'm not a specialist at all in this area, but I do invite you to check the Graduate School of Health Sciences website, because you will be able to see more details about each of them in there. And of course, about our Koç University Translational Medicine Research Center. This has been the research center that has received the highest funding from the Turkish government in translational medicine so far, and the only one in Turkey. The idea is that it brings together, people from very different disciplines, especially, of course, medicine, but engineering, and to solve specific clinical problems in a multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary environment. Right now, this is a infographic that we need to update constantly in terms of the number of students and postdoc researchers and academic members. But on the center's website, you can see the laboratories that are, that are directly under the management of the research center, as well as the academic members and the ongoing projects that they have both at the national and international level. Now we're going to talk a little bit about our admission process for the master and PhD programs, both for fall 2021 and for the spring 2022 period. For those of you who are starting to plan ahead with a bit more time, then that's great if you're here thinking that you want to apply for spring. So the first thing to remember is that we believe in having a holistic admission and evaluation process, and also being selective, because again of the very high quality of research that our faculty members are conducting. They need to be selective to make sure that the students that they admit will be able to cope with the high level of information and knowledge and skills that will be gathered as a graduate student, and also make the most of their time here and contribute to that research through publications and the work that they will be doing in the laboratories and in their groups. Holistic for us means that it's not enough to just have the minimum required test scores, or in English and in exams like the GRE or the GPA. You also need to demonstrate, for example, a well-written statement of purpose, where you can clearly outline what are your research interests, what are your previous skills, what can you add as a student here, the references that you will provide, who can recommend you, especially if those are academic references, and any extracurricular experiences, awards, achievements that you may have gained through your undergraduate or master's degrees. So the other thing to remember is that we can only evaluate applications that are submitted through our online application system. You can see the address on the bottom of the screen, which is apply.ku.edu.tr. There is no, you should not be sending any documents via email to the graduate school, because unfortunately they won't be able to do anything with them. They will ask you to submit them through the online application system. You do not need to have formal approval from one of our faculty members to apply, but it is worth contacting a few of them after you have carefully checked their profiles and the current work that they're doing, to informally ask for feedback about whether what you're interested in doing would be aligned with their work priorities, at least for the next couple of years or in the next 4 or 5 years that you may be a PhD student with their group. The thing to remember is not all of them may be able to come back to you, if you're contacting them via email to say, yes, go ahead and apply or not. They are very busy people. A lot of them are also part of our School of Medicine and are also practicing doctors or, clinicians. So keep that in mind. But if you present yourself well, we also have tips on how to do that on our international admissions website. It is recommended. But as I said, you do not need to have a formal endorsement or approval from one of our faculty members to apply to our PhD programs or to our master's program. So after after you submit your application, there is a short list of candidates which are selected by our faculty members, and those candidates are invited by the Graduate School of Health Sciences to attend an online interview. You do not need to be in Turkey or travel to Turkey for that. Of course, we're now doing everything online via Zoom or using other tools. So after the interview, if you're successful in that interview, then you're informed if you have been offered admission to the program, the master or the PhD programs, 6 to 8 weeks after the interview date. So keep that in mind in terms of your timeline, as well as to when you need to make decisions based on different offers you may have. Our fall 2021 admission period opened on the 5th of April and will be closing on the 20th of June. So it's fairly soon. In case you have already started an application, today is a good opportunity to maybe ask any questions about specific parts of the application or any doubts you may have. If you have not started an application, we then encourage you to do so if you meet all of the admission requirements that we will show next. And if you're not able to meet or have all the requirements ready before the 20th of June, then we strongly recommend that you consider applying for the spring 2022 period. So the process, I've started to outline it, but basically it goes from preparing an application. Here, what's important is that you make sure that all of your documents should be in English or translated to English or Turkish. We cannot accept documents in other languages, so that would lead to a very likely rejection. Then after you have written and uploaded all of the documents and information you submitted, in the application form, it's going to ask you to add the names of referees who can provide. They will be sent an email and they will be asked to complete a form to recommend you as a candidate for one of our master or PhD programs. We strongly recommend that you remind them to submit their references latest 1 week after the deadline. So for example, for fall, we're talking about 20th of June. So your referees should not submit their references or their recommendations by end of July, because by then it would be too late. So the sooner, of course, the better. As I said, if you're shortlisted, then you will be asked to attend an online interview with a panel of faculty members. If you want to know what the interview is like, of course, we cannot give detailed kind of information of what questions will be asked, but the idea is that you can provide some background, some information about your academic background, what specific courses you have taken, what skills and knowledge you have gained, especially like laboratory skills that would be relevant for the master PhD program that you're attending or that you're seeking admission to. And then as I said, if you're successful, you may receive a full admission offer or a conditional admission offer. That offer letter will include the details of, for example, like which program you have been admitted to, if there are any conditions you need to meet, if you had any missing documents such as a final diploma or test scores or anything like that, it will be outlined there. If you are awarded a scholarship, it will also give the details of the scholarship offer in terms of the package. If not, then it will outline the details of the tuition and how to pay that tuition. And it will ask you to accept the offer by a specific deadline so that our colleagues in the graduate school can help, they can plan the fall orientation program. Finally, you register as a student at the university. For fall 2021, the registration dates are not finalized yet. We have to also, wait for the Higher Education Council of Turkey guidelines, but I will have an update on that in a few slides. So the requirements to apply and to be considered for admission are on the screen now. the thing that it's important here to remember is, the statement of purpose, it's a very important document. It's not a research proposal and it's not a motivation letter. It's a kind of combination of both, in which you outline why you're applying for this program, why specifically at Koç University, how, what are your strengths as a candidate, and what specific topics you're interested in, and how they're aligned with the work of one or more of our faculty members in that program. We have specific recommendations, examples on our website that you can look, so that you can have an idea about length, the type of language you're supposed to be using. They should be written in English, of course. So that's the thing that I want to highlight here. You should provide, of course, the official transcript from all of the degrees that you have obtained, or if you're going to graduate, for example, in summer this year, then it can be a letter from your university with the final predicted GPA and grades, or a graduation certificate letter from your university. We do have minimum GPA requirements for admission. For master programs, it should be 2.7 out of 4. For PhD programs, it should be 3 out of 4. Does that mean that someone with, for example, a GPA of less than 3 is never admitted? No. I mean, if everything else, there are some other outstanding qualities to the candidate, they may be also offered admission if they also perform well in the panel interview. Now, there are some standard test scores that all of our candidates, both Turkish and internationals, have to provide. One of them is English proficiency, because the programs are offered and are taught in English. So if you're an international applicant, you can apply with the TOEFL. There are other acceptable exams, such as Cambridge exam of English, Pearson. If you are in Turkey, you can take the gshs exam, but you can also apply with the TOEFL. It should just be taken in a state university test center. All of those details are, of course, also on our website. If the other test scores that are required are to assess your readiness for graduate school level quantitative analysis, and this is why we ask for GRE in the case of international applicants, or ALES exam scores for Turkish applicants. For GRE specifically, what they're looking at is the quantitative analysis section, in which we are asking for the minimum scores that you see on the screen. It's 156 for PhD programs, 149 for master programs. For ALES, for those of you who are joining us from Turkey, we ask for a minimum of 70 in the quantitative section, or 55 for master programs. If you're not able to submit your application with the GRE or ALES scores because of circumstances in your country, like such as test centers being closed or test dates being canceled because of recent restrictions, because of COVID, that can be explained in the application, because you can mark on the application that you have registered for the test but have not taken it yet, okay? So that the faculty evaluators can know that you will be able to provide a test score before you enroll as a student, and they can also make a decision to shortlist you as a candidate or not based on that. So it's very important that you accurately indicate your tests to your test situation. Okay, what I have to say, what you shouldn't do is just to say I don't have any test scores and I will never have them, because that does put you at a disadvantage from other candidates that also have very good GPAs like yours from good universities in their countries or in Turkey, good statement of purpose, good CVs, and good recommendations. But those that will have the test scores, of course, will be looked at first. So this is why we strongly encourage you to submit your application if you have already obtained your test scores. So where to find more details? So if you're an international applicant, we invite you to check international.ku.edu.tr. But also, of course, first of all, the Graduate School of Health Sciences website, which you can see here, is gshs.ku.edu.tr. You will see all of the details. Now, when it comes to what's happening in terms of admissions and COVID-related barriers or challenges, as we said, you may face some difficulties to take GRE and TOEFL. You can still be evaluated on the basis of all your other application documents. And what may happen is that if you're successful in the panel interview, you may get a conditional admission so that you're able to register as a student once you bring the test scores, or it also may state that you need to bring them during the first semester, so during the fall 2021 semester, and in that case you would be able to take them here in Turkey. The situation in Turkey is now let's say normalizing in that things are reopening, so by then we expect all test centers and test dates to be fully available. With regards to our fall 2021 plans for teaching, it's not 100% certain yet, but we're very, we're cautiously optimistic that we will be able to offer an almost full return to our campus in terms of dormitories, in terms of teaching in classrooms. But of course, it will all depend on the situation by end of August, in which we will know, for example, the extent of vaccinations for all of our students and faculty members and staff. In any case, we have been very successful over the past year in terms of offering online teaching. And this is how, for example, our students who from the Graduate School of Health Sciences who are graduating in a few weeks, they have completed their courses online. So, we already have all the infrastructure and experience to continue doing that if needed. If the situation permits to do so, then we will be able to teach again in our beautiful campus, on our classrooms and in our amazing hospital. So that's what we're aiming for. Now I'm almost finished so that we can continue to our question and answer part for today. In terms of tuition fees for the upcoming academic year, that's the 2021-2022 academic year. First thing that it's important to know, it's all of our graduate programs in the Graduate School of Health Sciences are tuition-based programs. So you can see the tuition that applies to Turkish citizens and which is charged in Turkish lira, and to those who are non-Turkish citizens or international applicants, in which case the tuition is paid in US dollars. We do have scholarships, of course, and the type of scholarships depend on academic merit. So when you're evaluated as a candidate for a program, for admission to a program, you are evaluated, in terms of admission and being a good fit for the program, but also in terms of being awarded a scholarship. So what I want to say here is there is no separate form that you have to complete to ask for a scholarship. There is no different deadline. It's all in one process. So you apply for admission to a master or a PhD program, and when you receive your decision, you will know if you have been admitted, and if so, if you were awarded a full or a partial scholarship. And if it's a full scholarship, what are the benefits that will also include in terms of, besides a monthly stipend, what other benefits you will receive. If you are awarded a partial scholarship, for example, of 25% or 50% as a tuition waiver, it will also explain that and the methods to basically pay the remaining tuition. So for those students who are selected for full scholarship, this is just so you know the details. This is also explained on our Graduate School of Health Sciences website. What varies is where the funding comes from. So we have central funding from the university's central budget for both our PhD student and master with thesis student. Please note that for master's program, we only have this available for master with thesis. There is no such funding for master without thesis, okay? So you can see the list of benefits offered there. Then there's also project-based scholarships. So this means that individual faculty members have specific projects from which they can fund master, PhD, or even postdoctoral researchers to join their labs for a specific project, in which case the tuition waiver applies, so 100%, you don't need to pay any tuition, but the stipend that you will receive as compensation for your work as a researcher on a project will depend on the project. So, it will vary. And you can see the details again on the website, but you would need to check with specific faculty members if you want to ask about specific projects. Then there are some other options in terms of scholarships. One of them is the TÜBİTAK-BİDEP scholarship. This is just for Turkish applicants, which is after you have been admitted, you are expected to also apply for that TÜBİTAK-BİDEP program in order to kind of top up your stipend. If you're an international applicant, we strongly encourage you to apply for the Turkish scholarships, doctoral scholarships. The applications are closed for this year though, so this applies to those of you who are thinking of applying for spring 2022 admission, because they open their applications in January. So this would basically provide you funding for your, if you're applying for a master's program, for a master's program. If you're applying for a doctoral scholarship, the same thing. If you're applying for fall 2021, you may be nominated by us as the university to be funded by Turkish scholarships, in which we send a list to Turkish scholarships of the admitted candidates. They provide approval, and then your stipend comes from the Turkish government. More details about this are in our international admissions website. This is just a quick overview of the breakdown of funding for our graduate students. And that's the last part of my presentation. You can, of course, keep in touch. We'd like to be able to answer all of your questions if we don't get a chance to do that today. For international participants, you can email us to study@ku.edu.tr. I encourage you to visit our website. We also have a very good YouTube channel where you can find all previous webinars that we have done about the Graduate School of Health Sciences, specific programs like global health and immunology. If you're a participant joining us from Turkey, we also have Turkish language webinars that have been done recently, and you can watch them there. And of course, the Graduate School of Health Sciences team, you can contact them via email, which is gshs.ku.edu.tr. They have a very nice Instagram account that you should follow, because it gives you a very nice idea of who are their students, what have they been achieving lately, awards that are won by our faculty members in the graduate school and in the School of Medicine. And of course, again, our YouTube channel, you can watch previous webinars. So with that, we have reached now the end of the presentation, and we have a good amount of time to answer your questions. I also want to note that we are now joined by the director of our Graduate School of Health Sciences, Professor Yasemin Gursoy Özdemir. She's a professor of neuroscience, incredibly amazing faculty member that we're very proud to have in our university. Very busy, so I understand why she couldn't join us earlier. But thank you so much, Yasemin Hoca, for joining us.
Melissa, sorry for being late. I had a kind of acute and emergent condition, but I actually happy to catch the end of it, so I can answer the questions.
Perfect.
I am happy to answer any kind of questions if you have. And it can be about the neuroscience programs, but also I can answer all other programs questions.
Perfect.
And there was a question about the quota for the master programs in neuroscience. Actually, there is a quota coming from the Higher Education Council, YÖK. It says about like 30 students per master programs, but actually we don't get that amount per each year. That's why actually there is no quota, we can say.
Yeah. Exactly. For all Turkish universities, the number of students in master programs is determined by the national regulator in an effort to guarantee quality, so that there is a small faculty student ratio. At Koç University, that's even more the case, because we are very selective about admissions, so that you will really have a pretty much almost one-to-one academic relation with your course professors and your supervisors for your thesis, for example. So that is definitely an advantage. I'm gonna check now. So I kindly ask if you have questions that you would like to ask, you can type them in the Q&A part of the screen. Some questions that were asked during the presentation have been answered by our colleagues from the Graduate School of Health Sciences. And if you have other questions, this is the time to type them now, okay? I'm going to read some of those, or let me just check. Okay, I'm gonna change the settings so that all of you can see which questions have been asked. But just to do a recap of some of the previous questions. So one of them was, if you get a master's scholarship, can you stay at the dorms free of charge? The answer is no, because of capacity issues. So we have grown we have grown better than we expected in terms of the number of graduate students, but the area surrounding our university hasn't caught up in terms of providing accommodation. So right now the policy is that master students receive money, okay, a housing aid, so that it can cover part of their housing costs. So this means you would need to find a privately rented accommodation. We do have an international community office, especially if you're international, that can provide some support in terms of which websites you should check to find rental properties, what to look for, how to negotiate contracts and things like that. But you receive housing aid, okay? And if I'm not wrong, and Ece and Simay, please provide the details here. It's 750 Turkish lira.
Yes, you are right.
Okay, so yeah, so the housing aid provided to master and PhD students, it's 750 Turkish lira.
Okay, there is a new answer, maybe new question, Melissa. Maybe I can answer it. If I have applied for master based on the qualification, will it be possible to be converted into PhD instead? Yes, actually, if you are really a good candidate in the master's program, and if you like working with your advisor and the environment, and your scores are good, we would be happy to change it to the PhD program. And actually, we like the PhD programs compared to the master's degree, because it is long, so it may produce more data and you can learn a lot. That's why it is easy. We can do that.
Mm-hmm. Also, I mean, on our application system, you're able to submit applications for both the master and the PhD program if you wish, and you will be evaluated, for both. So for example, if you're thinking about cellular and molecular medicine, you can submit an application for the master and the PhD program. It's better, of course, if you think about it carefully, and if you already know that you would want to continue to a PhD, you apply for the PhD, but you have, technically, it's, you can submit for both, okay? So we have another question here. Is financial status also considered when deciding who will get the scholarship, or is it determined according to the general academic success of the student? So yes, it's just based on academic merit. And this is why, of course, on our application system, on the form, you won't see any questions related to your financial status in terms of financial need. So this is why it's so important that you really explain why you're an outstanding candidate that should be considered for a scholarship. Any achievements that you have, publications, research experience, try to get the best recommendations that you have to increase your chances of being considered for a scholarship.
Okay, then the one is,
yep.
No, I question. Thank you for presentation. I wonder, all applicants will have a chance to attend the interview, or you are filtering the applicants according to some specific points before invite the interview? Actually, we make a list of the applicants, and we just had the GPA, ALES, and the other scores, and we just sent this list to our faculty members. If they are interested, I mean, we ask them who you are interested in, and then we just get the list of the candidates that our faculty members are interested, and then we call them for the interview. The process goes like that. We are not able to interview with all the applicants. If you can think, it's like around like 500 applicants for all graduate school. So it's a kind of filtering.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's important you provide your that you have what you have, I mean, your abilities, your laboratory experiences, and your future perspective, what you want to do. So it is very important if you can state all of them in a very just one page of letter in short, but it will show what you want to do. It will help to faculty members also.
Okay.
Okay, Melis.
I think the next question has been partly answered because it's similar. It's during the selection process before the interview stage, will TOEFL and IELTS score be important while ranking the students to make a short list?
So is critical care nursing taught in English, since it shows in website of
Yeah.
Koç Dream.com, but your presentation actually for nursing programs are a kind of hybrid, and the other programs mostly taught in Turkish, but the critical care nursing program will start this year. Actually, it was established before that, but we never opened that for the applicants. But this year we are opening it, and it will be fully English, totally English course. So in the future, we want to pass all the nursing programs also in English, but the critical care nursing is the first one that I can say. What are the research area topics for critical care nursing? I am not expert about that
But it's
subject,
okay,
but
Hojam, because Simai already, she has written the program coordinator's email,
okay,
so they can
okay,
consult with her about specific
okay.
and current research projects that they have going on. Let's see what other questions we have here. Okay, so this is a specific application form question. So in the section of education, do I need to input my senior high school, or is it enough with just my undergraduate degree or bachelor degree? So yes, only your undergraduate degree will be enough. You don't need to put information about your high school education. There's a section in our form where you can upload, for example, if you have an outstanding achievement from your high school education, which you won, for example, a national level chemistry, biology type competition, or you participated in international Olympiads or this sort of thing, of course, you may list them, but the faculty members are usually more, they want to see what you have done during your undergraduate degree in terms of courses, research, any other activities that will be relevant to the program. We had another question. What is the success rate of applicants of getting into the Master or Ph.D. of Cellular and Molecular Medicine? I think you're asking about what's the admission rate. I don't think we published that information. What I know, it's hard to get in. So.
Actually, we have differences in the number of applications,
Yeah.
But usually during this fall semester, we got the highest applications, and usually maybe Ece and Simay also may add, it is like around 100 maybe, or near to 100 for both cellular molecular master and PhD admissions in total, and then we filter them, and usually we call around like 30 applicants to the interview, and from there actually it depends on the faculty members budgets also. I mean, if they have the TÜBİTAK project and they are looking for like 2 PhD candidates or 1 master, 2 PhD candidates, and since we have limited amount of the Koç University scholarship, so number varies according to the TÜBİTAK projects. So last year we took a lot of candidates to the program because our faculty members had a lot of TÜBİTAK projects. So this year we will see. I mean, we have maybe it's like we can totally take 3 or 5 with Koç University scholarship. Then we may have 10, 15 with the TÜBİTAK project or TÜBİTAK BİDEP or Turkish scholarship.
Yes.
It depends.
Okay. Then there was a question, is it possible to know which faculty members have open PhD positions. I mean, which faculty members are looking for PhD students? Is there a platform that we can follow the announcement? There's no platform that announces this professor is looking for 2 PhD students, etc. As our colleagues in my wrote, you just apply to the program, you will be evaluated, and if a faculty member wants to work with you, then they will indicate that basically. But as I mentioned, I mean, some faculty members may have on their home pages, on their personal websites, announcements like we're currently looking for, PhD students that will specialize in this and this project, and with details, but not all of them. So this is why it's worthwhile checking the program faculty members' websites, or the labs or centers that they're affiliated with, especially Kuttam, to see specific open PhD positions. Okay. There was a question here, for example, from Turkish applicants. If I got my new ALES score after the application deadline, for example, after June 20th, where should I send an email for my new score? So our colleagues have written the email address. It's gshs.ku.edu.tr. Okay. And then, okay, I think we have answered that question about the dorms. So there is a question here about the statement of purpose. What information we should include in our statement of purpose? Is there anything mandatory to mention? Maybe Yasemin Hoja, you can also give your inputs. For example, for neuroscience, what are the things that you look for in a statement of purpose?
Actually, we for the PhD student, we look, for example, what he or she did during the master's degree, which subjects he or she involved, which laboratory techniques knows, or for example, if she or he coming from psychology, what kind of clinical studies done. And we also look for the papers. I mean, if he or she published a master thesis in a journal, or is it in application, or no paper at all. This is important for us. And also we just want to see what she wants to do during the PhD program. I mean, what kind of, what is her or his expectations? And if we match these expectations with the faculty members, that's the main point. That's why just clearly state this kind of things in one page letter, that will be enough.
Okay. There is a new question, which is about exchange programs. Is it okay if I put it in the application in the section of education? So this is, for example, if during your undergraduate degree, one or more of your semesters was done as an exchange student in a different university. Yes, you can put that. I mean, when you would select that, there is an option in terms of the education degree types, which is exchange. So you can list that, especially if it's a very good university that you think gave you, a lot of valuable experience and skills, that are relevant for the program. Yes, I think you should mention it. And another question about the references. I just need to input the name and email of my references, right? No need for specific form. Yes, that's correct. So you just need to put their name and email address. It should preferably be an institutional email address. So if one of your referees is a former professor of yours from your undergraduate degree or your master's degree, it should be from the university email address. We know there may be some limitations on that for some candidates, for example, from Iran. In some cases, we understand that, so that's okay. They will get an email from the system. In case if they tell you, oh, I haven't seen an email, I didn't receive anything, tell them to check their spam or junk email folder, because sometimes the system emails may go according to the email servers they have, it may go there. So you just need to tell them to check. If they have really not received them, or if they deleted it by mistake, you as an applicant yourself, you can go on your application form and it's very simple. You just click on resend, and it will resend them the email invite to submit a reference. Okay, so keep that in mind. I'm going to mark this as answered.
And Mohammed
Yeah.
Naufal raised hand. Is it possible to give
I would
maybe
ask Mohammed to type his question if you can.
actually on chat section it is
Okay.
written.
Okay. So his question is, do you need IELTS for PhD? And our colleague, Timai, she wrote, IELTS is not a valid exam. You need a TOEFL score. Unfortunately, please note that this is not a Koç University policy. It's a Turkish Higher Education Council policy in which they do not accept IELTS for admission to any Turkish university undergraduate or graduate program. Okay. Then we have a question. There's a question about a PhD in education. Unfortunately, we do not offer a PhD in education. What I suggest is that you check government websites such as studyinturkey.gov.tr, and there you will find the list of which universities in Turkey offer that PhD program. Okay. So let's see. We have new questions on the Q&A. Okay. So
There's one.
okay.
Actually, I answered.
Okay.
Faster.
Faster, you're
Quickly.
faster
For
than
the
yeah.
master application, do we have to state what subject we are particularly interested in our statement of purpose in terms of research? Actually, if it is a master program with thesis, it is recommended. I can highly recommend which subject you are interested because we have the cellular molecular medicine. It covers a broad range of the diseases and the subtypes. So, for example, cancer research may be related to some faculty members. On the other hand, for example, a kind of other liver diseases is interested I mean, one of other faculty members are interested. So in order to understand your interest, and they have to if they want to do an interview, they will look for your interests. But for the MSc without thesis, it is a kind of just giving a principle kind of knowledge about the subject, so you don't need for them. But for the thesis applications, I highly recommend.
Okay. And there is a follow-up question from the person who was asking about if they should list exchange experiences. What they were referring to is not academic exchange, but doing volunteering in another country. And I don't know if the next question is related to that, if it's for the neuroscience master program. So
Yeah, also
yeah.
my neuroscience master program has subtypes. For example, I study the animal models of the diseases and the blood-brain barrier. For example, other faculty member studies the neuroimmunological disease. One other faculty member studies the psychiatric aspects. That's why our interests are different. So it would be better if you can write your interest for the master thesis programs.
Okay. Then there is a question. There is a limit to apply to 3 different, I would say departments or programs. What if we are interested in another department, but we couldn't apply because of the limit? Yes, there is a system limit of 3 programs. Also, I mean, what we advise to international students is think carefully before you apply, because if the programs you're applying to are widely different, that may not look very good for evaluators, because they will wonder, what is your focus? I mean, what do you want to spend the next 2 or 4 years of your life doing if you're applying for very different programs? So, Yasemin Hoca, do you want to maybe give your reflection on that?
Actually, I mean, sometimes we interview some faculty members in several programs. That's why it would be a kind of hesitating them. So he applied to this program, to this program, to this program. I am not sure if he is really interested in my subject. So they make a question mark on the faculty members. That's why I just recommend you just follow your what do you want to do, and be clear about that. And if you apply all the programs, then people may think that you are just trying to get a position in this institute. So this is not a good thing for the interview.
I think it's important that you also establish for yourself for which program you're a strong candidate for. So, you know, like I know, for example, my background is in urban planning. So if I apply to a civil engineering program, I'm not a strong candidate. Whereas if I apply to an architecture program, I'm a stronger candidate because of my academic training. I mean, this is a completely different field, but what I can speak of. So think of which programs you, based on your academic training, would be the strongest candidates that would stand out to faculty members. So yeah, don't spread yourself too much is our advice, I think. Okay. All right, so I think we are now at about 12 minutes past our initial plan time, but I think we have had some interesting and relevant questions for most applicants. If all okay, if there's no other questions, then we're going to close today's webinar. I want to thank all of you for joining us from Turkey, from outside of Turkey. I hope it wasn't too late or too early wherever you were joining us from. Yasemin Hoca, would you like to say any final words to our participants?
Actually, I also want to thank to Melissa for organizing this webinar, and sorry for being late from all of you, also for Melissa and the Jessimai. And actually, I want to we are looking for your applications abroad or from Turkey. Actually, we want to get you as the numbers allows as much. So please don't hesitate to apply. We will go through all of your CVs and the applications. Don't worry about that. So I hope you to see in the interviews.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
And Ece and Simai, thank you so much for joining us today and helping us with the questions on the chat and on the QA. You guys have a lot of work ahead.
Thank you. Thank you.
Perfect. So we will be posting today's webinar video on our YouTube channel. By this time tomorrow, you will also receive an automatic email from Zoom, which includes the link to the video so that you can watch it anytime, and you can also share it with any friends who may be also interested in applying to Koç University and our Graduate School of Health Sciences. So with that, we're going to say goodbye for today, and we hope you stay healthy and that we wish you, all of the best in your academic journey. So thank you very much for joining.